Afternoon, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times, Tuesday, April 21st, with news from Arkansas. Early this morning, well, before 9 a.m. anyway, the State Education Department announced that Education Commissioner Johnny Key and Dexter Suggs, who'd been interim superintendent of the Little Rock School District, had come to an agreement by which Suggs would resign and leave his job immediately. He's gone. His office is cleared out. He's going to be paid up to $250,000 within the next 10 months as something by way of severance pay. That is, unless his doctoral degree is nullified by Indiana Wesleyan University. There's been controversy in recent days that began with reporting by Blue Hog Report that portions of that dissertation were plagiarized. Suggs has also been in trouble with a lot of people in the district over some management decisions and some disciplinary action against some teachers. Many people have questions about why the state is paying $250,000 for somebody to go away. He no longer has a contract since the state took over the school district. He's an at-will employee. If he was not sufficient to do the job, perhaps he should have just been sent on his way without money. There is an agreement by which neither Suggs nor the department will talk badly about each other, so perhaps there's silence is golden, so to speak, golden in terms perhaps of a payment that perhaps is too much of a reach, but nonetheless, he's gone. And now the question is, who will lead the Little Rock School District? In the interim, it's going to be Marvin Burton, who's been on a top administrator there, whether he will stay on or whether Johnny Key will look outside the district for a new, fresh set of eyes, somebody who has no connections to the district is yet to be known. There's a Citizens Advisory Committee tonight. Perhaps something will be revealed then. I happen to think somebody new and fresh is probably the best choice to lead the district given the number of inner working ties and loyalties that exist there. One big question will be somebody more in keeping with the traditional public school district leadership, or will it be somebody who reflects the Republican Hutchinson administration's view of school reform, which tends to mirror that of the Walton Family Foundation, heavily oriented toward so-called choice, charter schools, vouchers, and an upending of the normal process of things in the schools, particularly in the end of teachers' unions, of which Little Rock has a strong and powerful one. But in any event, Blue Hog Report has claimed a third victim by careful view of public records. He brought down Lieutenant Governor Mark Darr, Circuit Judge Mike Maggio, and now Dexter Suggs. He did it on facts, not innuendo or anything else. He got some tips. In this case, a friendly person supplied the copy of the dissertation, from which he then did the plagiarism check that turned up the copy passages. That's how things go. It is tough being a public official. Suggs has some sympathy, people going after his record after he was in office. His mistake was going after teachers at Jefferson Elementary School, where Matt Campbell's child goes to school. Then it became a battle, and Dexter Suggs was a loser. He simply went to war, and he wasn't armed for the battle. Elsewhere in the news tonight, follow our blog for David Coon's coverage of the Little Rock City Board meeting at 6 p.m. It's going to take up the Civil Rights Ordinance, which will guarantee non-discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation to city employees. Also encourage non-discrimination by people who do business with the city. There is some opposition to it. There's some thought that members of the board are not fully on board with this. City Attorney Tom Carpenter says the city need not fear a state law that was meant to restrict cities from doing this sort of thing. The Arkansas Constitution rules, for one thing. For another, there are some protections for sexual orientation, and there are parts of the state law which ought to give the city cover. If some don't like it, I hope they sue, and I hope the Arkansas Constitution prevails and says what they've said before. Equality of the law should not be denied anyone on any arbitrary classification. This same subject of equality came up in Bentonville last night, a heated hearing before the Bentonville School Board, which is considering whether to adopt a non-discrimination policy for its employees. It would mirror a policy that's in effect at the University of Arkansas. It would significantly mirror a policy that is in effect in Walmart, a small family-owned retail chain you might have heard of that's based in Bentonville. The American Family Association, a rabidly anti-gay, supposedly religious organization, mounted opposition to this proposal. It turned out a lot of people last night at the school board meeting who objected to providing protections for gay employees. They said somehow this would lead to people flaunting their sexuality. It was a panic-ridden and sad performance. They did defeat a motion to table the proposal forever. It's unclear where the vote may head in May. It was interesting that a top legal counselor for Walmart was among the people there speaking in favor of the policy, which was proposed in the first place by a colleague of hers at Walmart. So the big company's on the right side up there anyway, if some of the people in their hometown are not. Mara Leverett is in Ashdown this week for the beginning of a retrial Thursday of Tim Howard, who was sentenced in 2 deaths in Little River County in 1999, spent 12 years on death row, finally was released and given a new trial because of prosecutorial misconduct. The defense says that's still continuing in his ongoing case. Mara Leverett herself is in some doubt on whether she's going to be allowed to cover the trial because the prosecutor has subpoenaed her as a witness, although all she can testify to is the many stories she's written for the Arkansas Times on the subject. We'll be following that story through Mara as the week continues. Good news for some Arkansas artists. Brent and Craig Renaud, the documentary filmmakers, won a Peabody Award, tops in the industry for their documentary, a series on Last Chance High School that was done for Vice News Channel. And finally, a little piece of news that happened yesterday I wasn't able to get around to. Joe Foley, UALR's women's basketball coach, got a big raise. He'll eventually make $250,000 a year. He'd been courted by Kansas. He's been a highly successful winning coach at UALR. I want to note it because, although Joe Foley still won't make as much as, say, a good tackles coach at a Division I men's football team, it's nice to see somebody laboring successfully and being rewarded for it at the women's level. $250,000, not bad for a basketball coach, and we hope Joe will win some more games and take the Trojan women back to the NCAA next year. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.